Real estate agents, in this video, I'm going to help you make sure you stop undervaluing yourself and make sure you can close business from first sale by owners, people wanting to work with a discount brokerage, and honestly, how to get top tier commissions every single time you list a house. I'm going to be giving you direct access into one of my private coaching calls where one of my coaching students asked the question of, how do I provide value in today's market when people are wanting to sell their own homes, work with the discount brokerage, and I'm feeling like I do not have the value, expertise, or knowledge to be successful? Make sure you watch this entire video because at the end I give the best advice for how to compare yourself against other agents and make sure you show that you have value and that you're going to save your clients money.
They're not my favorite lead source, but I do go after for sale by owners. I've had some success with them, but not a whole lot. And the downside of working with them is they're very skeptical of agents and they're very commission minded.
Mhm.
About a week ago, I went to a for sale by owner open house, and he just looked me dead in the eyes and asked me, "What are you going to do differently than just put it in the MLS? Like, how are you going to market my home differently? Like, what's special about you? What's special about agents, and what's particularly special about you?"
Yeah,
And I don't feel like I answered it as eloquently and I was as persuasive as I could have been. So, and the bummer about working with them and having conversations with them is that it makes me doubt my own value as an agent, which is terrible.
for
So
sure.
I want to improve upon that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, have you ever ran the data on for sale by owners? I'm sure you're well aware of the statistical amount that for sale by owners actually lose selling by themselves. Like it's actually tangible where like they make less money. That's a fact. It's not
Yeah.
just like agent skepticism of like you're going to make less selling it by yourself. Like no, it's been proven that truly they do make less. But formulating that into words to a for sale by owner that then makes them be like, oh, you're right, let's work together, is not by saying it like that, where you're like, oh, you suck, you're going to make less money selling it yourself. And so, what I want to ask is one, start with what you did say. What kind of came out, and that way we have a base to work off of and can kind of go from there. What do you feel like your proposition was to him?
It wasn't great. You know, when he was just asking about me in particular, like, what are you going to do? I started going on like features and benefits a little bit, but then I tried to steer it back to selling the outcome. I'm trying to think of exactly what I said. It was something like, yeah, I mean, we position your home as the obvious choice in the marketplace. We use multiple marketing tactics, and I try not to get into marketing too much because then you just become a commodity at that point. Um, and just, but I feel like I dabbled in start talking about that a little bit too much, which I think was my downfall.
Okay.
Another thing I want to touch on as well is not necessarily conveying to them to not sell on their own because we're in a market that isn't as strong as it was a couple of years ago. But I feel like the logical step in their mind is if I can't sell it on my own, I'm going to put it in the MLS. I'm just going to list it flat fee. That's where I'm really struggling with. Or I'm going to hire a discount agent.
Yeah, where you're thinking, okay, let's just throw it on the MLS because that's the only thing that agents value is that they have access to the MLS. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, that was the guy that I was dealing with. He basically thinks that all we do is open up lock boxes.
I hate these people. They suck. Um, so the so there's one thing that I'll say is the most important aspect to breaking down like your value when it comes to a homeowner like this. And so when you are asking, I'm trying to remember exactly the what I said. So I'll tell you a story. I was at an open house once and somebody walked in the door and said exactly this to me, where they're like, "Hey, we like this house. We're listing our house next week. How can we go about purchasing this home?" And so me being the agent, I was like, "Sweet, I'm about to get two deals, double side this one and sell their house." And they're like, "No, no, no, no. We're listing with a discount brokerage." And I was like, "Oh, dang." And they were pretty much just like, we don't need you, but like, how can we submit an offer? And if it needs to be through you, we can do that. But like, other than that, we don't want to work with you. And so the conversation I had with this person was asking, what is most important when it comes to selling your specific home? Because a lot of people have different wants and different needs. So when it comes down to this person specifically, they wanted the home that I was currently sitting in. So timing was extremely important for them, where it's like we have to line it up. And so I don't want to go too heavy into that. The point I'm trying to make is everybody has different wants. Some people, it's pure money, where it's like, I need as much as I possibly can in my pocket today. Other people have other stuff where it's like, this is sentimental for me. I want it to be a certain way. I want it to be on my timeline, whatever it may be. Um, but when it comes to the money people, which is majority of our problems, there's two ways you can solve it. There's a competitive way you can solve it, and then there's a value way you can solve it. So from a competitive standpoint, there is listing agreements or listing strategies where you can say, hey, I totally get it. I'd like to put my money where my mouth is, and I'll sell your home on a tiered commission structure. So what that means is you say to this person, what do you want to list your house at? What were you going to sell it for? And they say 300,000. I'll list that at 300% or 300,000. And if I make you more money, my commission goes up by 0.5%. So whatever you're going to list with right now, if that's a discount brokerage at 1% or a flat 3,000, that's what I'll make. I'll agree to that. But then if I make more than that, my commission goes up by 0.5% every $5,000 more I get you. Okay. So that's
Mm.
a competitive negotiation tactic where it's like, if you don't think I'm worth it, that's totally fine. But what I can do is I have all the access to all this stuff and everything I do as a real estate agent outside of a discount brokerage. And I'll still match their fee as long as you agree to allow me to put my money where my mouth is. So it nets you the exact same as what you wanted, but I can earn my own money by trying to make you more money. And so that is a strategy you can potentially use. The second, which that's a Hail Mary. I don't lead with that because I believe we can close deals without cutting commission. The second is when it comes down to value. So for example, when it comes to a discount brokerage, what type of agents work at a discount brokerage?
Well, they're taking on high volume, and they're not able to really immerse themselves in the process with a particular seller. Um, and frankly, they're just not strong negotiators.
Okay, perfect.
That,
So
that might be a stereotype, but yeah.
no,
That's,
it's factual because when you go to a agent that is now working for a discount brokerage, why on earth would an agent go from making 3% to a flat fee per transaction and doing 50 of them at a time? What's the reasoning behind that?
because they don't believe in what they value, or the value that they provide.
That, or they just couldn't hawk it. They couldn't make it as a true real estate agent because they suck. And so they're like, well, I can't make it as a true real estate agent. I'm just going to go become a discount agent because then I get deals fed to me. I still make money and I can keep doing this job. But what does that then translate to the seller? The seller's like, okay, well, now I'm getting all these secondhand real estate agents with 50 transactions on their plate. How is that going to benefit me? Okay, so you're walking the seller through this by doing exactly what I'm doing, where you're like, okay, well, um, I totally get that. If you want to list with a discount brokerage, do you happen to know what agents discount brokerage or yeah, what agents are hired by discount brokerages? They're going to be like, no, not really. And you're like, okay, I get that. How many transactions do you think each discount brokerage agent has at a single time? They're like, I don't know, 20 or so, or 30 or so. I don't know how many it is truly. You'll have to figure that out. But then you're like, okay, so how much time do you think they're going to be able to allot to you to make sure you get the most out of your home? Because that's how we started this conversation is saying, hey, what do you want most? What's most important to you when selling your house? And if they're like money, it's like, okay, what are they going to do to get you the most money out of your house? And they're like, well, they're going to be cheap. It's like, okay, do you think that's the only way to make you the most money when it comes to selling your home? Well, they're going to be like, well, I mean, no, probably not. You're like, I agree. What do you think this discount brokerage is going to do for you from a marketing or conversational or negotiating side to get you the most money when it comes to your home? That homeowner is going to be like, well, I don't know. They're just going to be putting it up on the MLS. And you're like, I agree with you. And so that's why as a real estate agent, I do it differently, where I can put it up on the MLS, but I can do XYZ for you on top of that, where I take pride in my clients. I take pride in becoming a relationship based agent where I'm here for you as a friend. I want to make you the most money because I care about you and because I know I'm expensive. As a real estate agent, my fee is a lot of money because I'm a professional and I do a good job. And so here are the things that I do to make you the most money. And so now you're comparing and contrasting where you're saying, comparatively to a discount agent, I actually personally get out and knock every single door in your entire neighborhood. One, to find homeowners, and two, to invite them to your open house. So I do that immediately when your house is listed. Two, comparatively to a discount brokerage, I get a professional photography done for you and videography as well as social media marketing done on your property. Does that mean you posting it to your own social media? Sure. Do you have to do a whole ad campaign? No, but as long as you're posting on social media, that counts, you know? So now you're telling and comparing, contrasting all of these things that you do. And if they don't see the value in that, that's just because they're a sucky person and maybe you didn't deliver it properly. But there's so many other things we can talk about where it's like, now when it comes to a transaction and negotiating within the transaction, how much money do you think is usually saved or made during the negotiations once you're actually under contract? Homeowners are going to be like, well, not, I don't know, not a ton. You're like, okay, well, on average, from what I've experienced, there's usually anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 in repair costs or negotiations when it comes to being under contract. If I were able to actually decrease that and save you that money, that would pay for my fee right there. And they're like, oh, dang. I mean, I guess that's true. I never thought about that. And you're like, okay, now let's talk about this. Say the appraisal came in low and I had to negotiate and dispute the appraisal to get you a higher value. Do you know how to dispute an appraisal? The homeowner's going to be like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that was possible. And you're like, well, yeah, I can actually dispute an appraisal for you to make sure you get the highest amount of value based on my professional opinion of where we marketed and listed your house. So that additionally, I just potentially made you more money there as well. And so you're pointing out all of these key factors to this person where they're like, okay, you're swaying me. There's value here. And that's when you say, like I said, I am here to earn your business long term. And so if we need to make this an agreement where I put my money where my mouth is, I'm happy to do that if they keep pushing back on you. But with all of this said and accumulated into one conversation, you should be able to pull a majority of people in to at least give you a shot. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, smash the subscribe button and leave a comment of how you're going to go out and crush for sale by owners, and make sure you check out this video right here to learn exactly how I'm getting leads in today's market, and I'll see you there.